anything, then everybody wants a view, of course, the ocean. That becomes primary. Vancouver.
Could not
A
drive.
move? No, it was just used. It was a school, but now is on and off in the oil, up and down. Brazilian oil company. Brazil. So Brazilian oil company has maybe about a third of that floors where it is. An interesting Christian observation.
My sister and her husband, and but they have a wall.
This is kind of a cultural observation that the Palestinians are counting. This is the river, and now everything north of this is about a corridor. They began building this, taking out all this stuff, and then they ran out of money. So now we're not sure if we're going to have a train system here, so they're putting this temporary.
But I like it. It's beautiful.
Yeah, for temporary. For the metro.
Okay, Riva is here.
This is 1886. It's a little cafe now. Oh, wait, it should be a cafe. Maybe that's changed. It was a little cafe that you could go and have coffee. But this is one of the last buildings of all of downtown. That Prince's house, remember we were there, was right over, probably right around here, that they moved it over to Heritage Park. That was the Prince. Now, Olympics. And so we had, this was a venue for the ceremonies, but closer to downtown. But this is a remnant of the Olympics ceremony, because we were really proud that we had the Olympics here in Calgary, but for the winter. Can't talk river yet. The river is behind that park, the Bow River. This is just a man-made lagoon that they made for skating in the winter and for boating, but it's still water. Like it's very quiet. I think you can swim here. Yeah, if you want. You're welcome to swim here. Not today. Tallest red building there in the dark brown. That was our national oil company called Petro-Canada. I worked in that building for Suncor. That was my last job. Suncor bought Petro-Canada. It's now one of the biggest oil companies. Petro-Canada was formed by our Trudeau, not Justin, our last parent, but his father in the 80s. He was so jealous. He was from Montreal. He was, our Prime Minister was from Montreal, and we have a contention. They have so much money over there. What are they doing in Alberta? So he was so jealous that we were making multi-millions of dollars in petroleum. And he said, I'm going to build an oil company for me. And he named it Petro-Canada. And it's the national oil company. It became the national oil company. Little history, because I worked in that building. No, I won't go into it. It's crazy. I worked on the top floor of this tall legal lawyers and oil companies. On the Gold Tower on the west is the most expensive space in the city. I worked on the top floor for a company named Paramount. It is the most expensive commercial space, the Riddell family. They own the first 5.
No language.
This is a good picture. Here is that Prince's Island where he had, probably his house was on 4th Street. I just saw it yesterday. So maybe 4th Avenue was originally his home. Let's pretend, go back 100 years. This was all lumber, like the lumber yards for making wood. So they would cut the trees in Banff and in the mountains, float them down the river. This is the Bow River. It would all the logs would float here. They would take them off and they would mill them. And so this was all lumber mills from here all through here. Hence the Eau Claire, that little
There's a wedding today. It seems like it. Or Vancouver did, like different festivals and everything.
Sign that says Jasper Parkway. If you go that road through the mountains, and this river, if you put a boat in or drop something in, will end up in the Hudson Bay. So that's where this water is going, Hudson Bay. Are you familiar with that? I'll show you on a map.
New York?
Map. It's way up northern Ontario. If we go south, it's very interesting. If we go south maybe 100, 200 kilometers, there's a little river called the Milk River. And if you drop in, of course, St. Louis has the Mississippi, the big arch there. That's all our waters from the north, or from way down south there, will flow right past St. Louis and go into the Gulf of Mexico. But this one actually flows all the way up to the north, towards the Hudson Bay. This river is one of the cleanest in the world because fishermen from all over the world want to come here for the trout. Fishing. So it's very popular. A lot of Americans come here. Just not here. They don't fish in Calgary. Down south of the city. Now you can see the gold and silver towers. The banker hall. Many stories as you. If we hadn't connected Vancouver to Montreal, we would have lost it to the Americans.
They would have wanted to build it.
They would have invaded. But because now we had a transportation corridor built in the 1900s, that railway is what kept Canada's trade and security, that railway system. It is an amazing story. This river, we're going south, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to 200 down in the deep south. So you know from right here, this is 1st Street, 2nd Street, 3rd Street, this goes south. Same on the other side of the river. Over here, avenue called Center Street. All avenues from the Calgary Tower, 1, 2, 3 to the west, 1, 2, 3 to the east. So it's a really good quadrant system. I think it's more like the body. Except because we're a winter city, this is called the plus 15. It's 15. Anytime you can probably see a little blue sign on that pillar there. That tells you, and once you get in there, all the buildings are connected. So in the middle of -20, if I had a meeting with somebody over here in an oil company, you could just walk right out and go to work, go to them.
Nice.
It was really, and they're all heated.
And then you have to go to the street and
you can
They also explain them that every building you see, it can.
yeah, we don't really have
You don't have this system.
You don't need it because it's warmer.
and
We need it
plus-
because of winter.
Oh,
Can you imagine this
need
is
it.
snow up to here and you have a meeting to go to? Isn't it nice that you could just...
Connection to each building. So you don't need to be outside. Just
Yeah, this is really nice.
confusing sometimes.
Confusing, but at the same time you can get anywhere.
You can get anywhere. Look at these guys. They're probably going to meetings. And so in winter, you didn't need to put a jacket on or change your shoes. You could go all the way to City Hall almost just by walking indoors.
I don't know about your system.
Okay, I just wanted to show you up here. This is a typical plus 15 system where you could just literally walk the whole downtown without ever going to feel snow. It's a really amazing system. This corridor from here for 2 blocks is all shopping, 2 levels above us. We're going to see a glass ceiling was the largest. that covered the thing, but then Dubai beat us and took it over the following year. Another department store which was renowned in the world called the Hudson Bay. And the Hudson Bay anchored that side, Eaton's anchored this side, and there was the Eaton's to Hudson Bay with classroom here. I was very angry about this development because before they built this, they had even a lovelier garden, but it was more, but it's not the vision that I think, yeah.
Four level up.
Starting there. From here all the way to our city hall. Let's keep a little walking. See these massive sculptures? They may look like they're decorations, but they really are huge diffusers. Because before they built them, in the middle of a Chinook, you couldn't walk across the street. It was so windy. You would just be walking like this. And now, people don't know it, but these are diffusing all the wind so that it's walkable. Now, quickly, this is that's where we were, remember I said military, at the very end? And then let's go over here. That silver building at the very end is our city hall. So that's where all our city administration, our mayor lives, all our administration. So that's called the city hall. Along here is called Stephen Avenue. It really is a pedestrian walking zone. What we're looking at. These are all representative of the people who made up the original Canadian immigrant. Thales is our one of our providers of communication. They built this tower just at the end of the COVID. They finished it off. And see this building behind it? Remember I was talking about that?
Yeah, the trees.
From maybe the last 5 floors is a garden, straight up, only for the employees. Unfortunately, it's sad. I wish we could go up there, but it's only for the oil companies to take it. That was the tallest, and then about just 7 years ago, they finished this one in the middle of the collapse. This building was almost not finished, and it's called the Brookfield Place, and it's now the tallest building. And I would say, another little interesting history, we were so much money here, so much building. This tower, the Synovus Tower, goes like this. The architect had designed another tower to match it to go like this on the other side. And of course, it would have been a total loser. This is the last remnant of our real history. All these old style buildings with the sandstone, the brick here, this was the core of downtown, and I'm so glad our city preserved it, because they would love to put towers here, but this is the remnant of our 1930s and 40s, 50s. These are, and then the top part is a glass floor. If you want to walk out it, you can look straight down. We could go there, but it's expensive. It's $30 just to get up there. It's crazy price. But that's our Calgary Tower. It was built in about 1967. one thing about it that was unique. See the concrete, the stack that was poured over one continuous pour of concrete, never stopping, all the way to the top, and that makes it why it's so solid. It's called a continuous pour. So when they started pouring the concrete, it kept going and going and going and not stop, and that solidified that tower to be why it's so strong. You have to understand, there's 100-kilometer winds that come through this corridor, and that tower you can sometimes be a little bit crazy. Now, this hotel is called the Palliser Hotel, the sandstone one. You see the word Palliser at the top. It was named after one of our first explorers who found the passageway from Calgary to Vancouver. His name was Lord Palliser. So, see the word Canadian Pacific Railway underneath the dome in the red, next to the hotel. Just go to the right. It says Canadian Pacific Railway. That railway goes from Vancouver to Montreal, right downtown. This hotel is very important. Remember I told you this was Petro-Canada? Pierre Trudeau built this building. So, big sign, you're entering Petro-Canada, the national oil company. Anyways, to build this building, talk about an environmental disaster. Look at the rock on the outside. See this? And this? So stupid. Talk about an environmental problem. This comes from Brazil. All the rock you see facing this building was mined in Brazil. It was put on a boat and shipped to Italy, to Noah. The rock. It was carved to fit this building. Yes. No more. Because, you know, someone like Mark Little. Oh, remember Mark Little? He was the president of Suncor. He would go here, and he's supporting a small business. So here, yeah, we are here. And where were we at the mall? This is the core shopping. Remember when I was showing you the core shopping? Here's that Bankers Hall. So we walk in that big glass ceiling. This is where the sculptures are. And now we're working our way. Where are we again? Here. And we're going to work our way to... No, we're not going to Bow. We're going towards... Yeah, let's see if we can get to here. To the west, all from one point right at the center here.
So let's say vertical on diagonal, right?
That's right. You want an ice cream? They have Dole pineapple ice cream. Really good ice cream right here. It's crazy busy. No parking anywhere. Go, 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 go! There you go. Indoor skating events, and now it's used as our hockey venue. However, it's finding that it's getting really old, and they've just signed a contract to build a huge stadium here. So over on the right, a massive new stadium is coming.
How big will it be?
Double this, two times.
So, and the dome will be
gone.
So the new dome.
Oh, they may use it for rock concerts or something crazy.
Not people park.
Yeah.
In
But
public.
that's a really good, that's the economy right there. There's the oil tankers leaving and going probably to Montreal carrying oil. And grain. There's some grain trucks.
So, they
Yeah,
go,
there's that called
they go across Edmonton, not Calgary.
but there's a lot of high density
I
housing.
see.
Peekaboo. Peekaboo. Peekaboo.